Hey guys, and welcome to Airability, your regular dose of lead therapy. And today I thought I'd have another look at how the Chiappa project is going on, making this budget air rifle into a benchrest contender. And yes, I know it's pronounced Chiappa, but I'm from the north of England, and I do like to annoy the pronunciation police as well. So I've become really good friends with this Chiappa over the last few months, and I must admit it's shot beyond my expectations of a £850 rifle. It's right up there with what's available on the market for possibly over double the price. We now have a little but healthy Chiappa Facebook group where people are sharing hints and tips on what to attach to your rifle and how to shoot it, etc., which is quite good. So if you're interested, come along to that. Also, don't forget the Airability Facebook group. Pop along to that and talk about anything you see on this channel or anything that you have some questions about. But let's have a look at how the Chiappa ended up in its kind of like final form for benchrest shooting. So what I will say is this is a 250 gun inside. I've only had one opportunity to shoot it outside, and it performed exactly how I thought it would perform, considering its abilities indoors. So I'm very happy with it. So I took the Chiappa out to the legendary field and I stretched it out all the way to 50 metres. I was very surprised with the accuracy, and I was also very pleased with the clarity of the Falcon Optics T50i that I've got on top. I would take on most of the UK benchrest shooters using this rifle. What I will say is, the top couple would be a stretch to beat with this, but my Annies, my pair of Anschutz 9015s that I call, the Tangerine Dream Team, they cost many times this for possibly one or more points. So anyway, let's get down to it. At the front, you'll remember in the first video, I put an ATEC Wave silencer on it. Well, I've tried a load of other silencers, and the ATEC Wave still is the one that best suits this gun. So that's what I've used, and it's quite cheap. It's about 50 quid. The whole price of this setup is under £1,500, which that's everything on the gun. So I think that's really competitive for a brand new benchrest rifle. If you look on the internet and these for sale groups and things, you can pick some of this stuff up even cheaper. So you could save yourself a few pennies. So we've got the ATEC Wave on the front. Bish bash bosh, works great. Yep. Little comment about the barrel. There's a few people being concerned about a floating barrel having a bit of flex in it. Yes, it does. That's life. If you wanted a rugged hunting gun, you'd probably buy a gun with a barrel band on. But if you want to go for accuracy, whether it's HFT, FT, benchrest, floating barrel's usually the way to go. So the trade-off of that is be a little bit careful with it, but I've never known anybody break one. Anyway, moving back, at the front here, can you remember on the first video I had a really big wooden front block on? Well, that took me over the weight limit for light rifle class in the benchrest competitions. So I remembered I had a little geeky front block made by Kieth, and the link to Kieth is in the video description, as is other links to what I'm talking about here, and also pop along to the Chiappa Facebook group. So it's a little light front aluminium block, dropped me about 150 grams putting that on, and got me into light rifle class. So Kieth makes them, he knocks them out 10 to the dozen. Good job. Moving back, we're onto the scope. Now I've broken all the rules with the scope here. I always go on, if you read my recent articles in Airgun World with my friend Graham Freeman, the Shifu and the Phoenix series, we were talking about scopes and talking about keeping it as light as possible to keep you under the weight limit of light rifle class. Well, this gun is so light, and in conjunction with the lighter front block and the few bits I've removed, I managed to get this beast of it's a Falcon Optics T50i, brand new to the market. I've done a video on it, so you can check that out as well. Fantastic all-round scope. It's got really nice small central floating dot reticle for the benchrest. It's got nice increments on the you know, the crosshairs for if you want to do more generalist shooting. It goes right up to 50 mag. It's a 60 mag objective, 34mm tube, and it is nice and bright and clear, and it does the job great. I know I had the Sentinel X on. You won't score anymore with this, but you'll be able to see your nines more clearly. So if you can upgrade your scope, it's always a good idea within the weight limit. So I calculated this very carefully. It's 930 grams, this scope. So if you're adding up the weight of your rifle, and it's got to be under 4,762 grams to get into light rifle class. If you do your maths, you might be able to get a big boy like this on. A couple of other things about the scope. Essential for a bench rest shooter, I put a level on the side here, so we know that the gun is level and there's no cant on the scope, and that's essential because even a small amount of cant can push it out of that 10 ring. Now, also on the other side, I've got a thing called a fishing coaster. In other words, it's a zip tie with a screw on, and you can put it on the parallax ring here, and it gives you a little more leverage when you're turning the parallax focus. It makes it have a bit like a throw ring that you have on the magnifier. So very good for the bench rest shooter. We don't need to know the measurement of where we're shooting at. We just need to focus it because it's always 25 meters. So that's a nice light addition. You don't need that big ring that you see on some of the FT shooters. Other thing to note is, I've said before, the block is quite small on these. The scope can be quite in your eye, so you need to move it forward. I've found this UTG dovetail to Picatinny conversion rail, and it's spot on, and it's about 40 quid, and the engineering's superb on it for the price. So I've got this. There's no noticeable POI change with heat and things like that. Very happy with it. Been shooting with this arrangement of the scope lifted up on the UTG rail with the various you know, the fishing coaster in there and the level on, and it's been shooting great. What I will say is, when you're raising your scope up for bench rest, it really is a good idea to try and get as close to the barrel as you can, because it relieves the issues relating to cant. So moving back, everything else is standard. The trigger was just a couple of turns from the setting outside as it came out the box. I absolutely love the trigger on this. For the price point, I think it's the best trigger I've come across. Now, at the back, yes, I went a bit doolally at the back with, let's move this forward here. I went a bit doolally at the back here. And so, the original stock, as you know, had a concave butt, which one, doesn't fit in your back bag very well, and two, is illegal for bench rest shooting. So what I did was yes, I got the old saw out and I chopped the bottom of the butt off, and I put a very short Picatinny rail underneath, and I fitted a second-hand PRS bag rider that I managed to find on the internet. Now, these are only 50 quid new anyway, and the Picatinny rails are less than a fiver, posted from our good old friend China. So, you know, this is around about £50 for the bag rider. Now, it's legal, it fits in the bag beautifully, it's stable, and it even, you know, for a numpty with a saw, I don't think that came out bad. Now, right at the back, last thing you want on the back of one of these guns is a big sticky rubber butt pad, because we don't shoulder the rifle and you don't grab in your clothing, etc. And also, the big thick rubber butt pads make the rifles heavier than they need be. So what I've done is I've replaced the butt pad with a piece of carbon. I've used one of the original butt pad holes to screw it to the stock, and I've put a tiny little bit of removable glue because the other hole was sacrificed when I removed the bottom of the stock. So it looks chunky, but I'll tell you why it's chunky. If this was my rifle and I was keeping it, I would probably address the side that's further away from me and make it more aesthetic. But the side that touches me, all my rifles, including Tangerine Dream, have this abrupt edge. And that means I can tell when it's touching my shoulder and when to back off so I can float the rifle. So it gives me the information I need to shoot accurately. These bits of carbon are available for a few quid on eBay, Amazon. This one's 3mm thick. All I do with them is cut them with you know, a hacksaw, a grinder, anything like that, then you just file them off nice and straight and flat. What I will say is it produces a lot of black dust. Wear a mask and appropriate eye protection. And it's a pain to clean up afterwards, but the finish is beautiful, lasts forever, and it's lighter than anything you're going to buy. So that really kept the weight down. So the whole rifle now, even with this monster scope, is in light rifle class, and it is shooting 250s indoors. So it's competitive as well. Anybody wanting to go into the sport, and don't know what to use as a jump off point, I would honestly look at the Chiappa Facebook group, look at what the guys are doing with these guns, and enjoy yourself. And just remember, this version of the Chiappa is only available from Ratworks. It is regulated by Ratworks. It's had a few other bits of fettling done. It's got a Lothar barrel on, so it's not the standard one that you could get from elsewhere. And all that work, it still comes in at 850 quid, so you can't go wrong. Shooting this rifle has opened up curiosity in me about how good some of these budget guns can be. And it's not far off the $1 million handshots that I shoot. And hopefully I'll be able to test some more budget guns in the future and see how they perform, because it's excited me. What I will say is, the one good thing about having a gun that isn't a gazillion dollars is that you can use them. My Annies are both mantelpiece princesses. They come out, they go back, they get polished, they do the job. This, I've been able to experiment with the butt without the fear of ruining something that's been handcrafted by a great stock maker. I've been able to drill a few holes, I've been able to tune it. I've been quite happy fiddling with this gun and being able to make it the best. But what I will say is, I did have to be careful, because when you buy a house, you can put too much money into a house and put too many extensions on and things, and then you put too much into your house and it doesn't improve the value of the house. Well, I was getting to the point with this where you could probably buy the next price bracket gun up, but with what I've done, it's very competitive, and I wouldn't I wouldn't put anybody off trying one of these if they want to get into benchrest. So guys, until next time, you can see I've had a good time. It's sunny outside. I'm going to go and do some shooting and live my airgun dream this weekend, because I tell you, there's some crappy rainy weekends, isn't there? So I'm straight off out to shoot as soon as I say bye-bye and take care.